Islam has come out and says that he's going to do a couple of fights this year. And I kind of felt bad for Islam in 2023. I had Alex Pereira as the fighter of the year. And I had that based on the fact that within the calendar year, he held the 85-pound title. And closing out the year, he had the 205-pound title. And because he had two different belts within the same calendar year, I had him as the fighter of the year. But he took a loss in there, right? So a lot of people did not agree with me. He did not officially win that award. And there's a number of people that argued Islam and said, hey, Chael, I hear your logic and I can drink to it, but Islam should have been double champion. I mean, he beat the reigning champion. It was just, it was a different weight class and these types of things. Not to mention it was the number one guy in the world. Not to mention it was hard, it was short notice, all the different things he did to not only do it, but to solidify it. I like these arguments. I thought it was a good argument, right? You got to go with one. I went with one. I went with Pierre, but I definitely heard the arguments on Islam. One thing I didn't love for Islam is that they only gave him 2 fights. I didn't think that was fair. I mean, that's not the deal. The deal is you get 3. And if somebody, right, there's things that happen. You got to be willing to work with people. You don't just defer to contracts. You got to be willing to work with people. Things come up. But how do you give your champion that did the most, that some people think deserves fighter of the year, short notice, late, all the risk, all the stuff that was involved? Fight a champion, beat a champion, don't get to become champion. I mean, all the stuff that was involved. How are you the one that gets slighted? How are you the one that comes up with 2? When you're guaranteed 3 and you're doing whatever you can to try to get 4. Speed this thing up, man. In 8 years on the career, it's rounds in there. So let's get them over with now. It all pays the same, right? It's one of these things. This is the game. Same thing happened to Leon. Leon's the champion. Champion gets treated in a different way. Champion got 2 fights. Why didn't he get 3? I don't have the answer to that, by the way. Those guys could have been called, could have been offered, said no. But generally, we would hear about that, right? I mean, that would be fight promotion 101. Go pick a fight. Number 1. Hey, you two want to fight each other? No, I don't. Charlie's scared to fight Andy. That's how it works, right? Anything that works on the playground works in the octagon. Anything that doesn't work on the playground does not work in the octagon. One seems sophisticated and advanced, and the other seems so basic and simple. Yeah, the basic, simple one, that's the one. Take all those same principles and then bring them over here for money. So I'm just bringing it to your attention because Islam has now stated his calendar. Some bitch, we're only a couple of days into the year. He stated his calendar, and he stated 2. Now, the reason okay. So it wasn't that they didn't offer him fights. It doesn't appear. He only wants to fight twice a year. Great. It just solves that problem. It lets us know a little something, right? Says his next fight's going to be June. I think he said the 9th. I've heard the 8th, but June 8th, and it's going to be against Gaethje. Now that right there was interesting to me. I don't believe that 2 people are both telling us the truth. I don't believe the UFC is going to do a Conor McGregor fight on June 29th and an Islam Gaethje fight on June 8th. I have no evidence. I have no proof of what I just don't think that they will do 2 pay-per-views that tight together. So, Gaethje versus Islam. And it most certainly does appear that that's the match. When Arum gets tied up, and most importantly, Oliveira, when we finally stop this craziness of Oliveira, shoving Oliveira into that fight, when we finally stop that craziness, it looked like it would open up for Gaethje. The problem with betting your money on Gaethje is Gaethje versus Max for the BMF at 300 is a real discussion. Now, that's not a must-see fight. That's not a mega hit fight. That's something that's special. That'd be a special attraction. It'd be kind of fun. That's what that night is about, to a degree. You'd have been foolish to ever really bet and think it was going to go in that direction, but to have those discussions, start to figure things out, okay, great. It looks as though we're done and we're not figuring that out. And we've never had a time where Islam has trolled us. There's never been a story out there that Islam's told for attention. These other fighters need attention. They need it so bad they'll start a negative rumor about themselves just to have people talking. Like, they just cling to it. Islam's just not like that. And Islam laid out his 2 dates, his 2 venues, said who the opponent was, right? It's going to be Gaethje on this June 8th, 9th date. It's going to be the winner. I think it was of the Oliveira. I hope it wasn't, but Oliveira versus Arm. He's going to take on that winner at Madison Square Garden in November. I mean, he had the whole thing laid out. And if he's accurate, if that's accurate, then Gaethje Max off the board. Fine. That's fine. But if Gaethje was planning to defend the BMF against Max, is he going to defend it against Islam? Simple question. But I don't like the idea of having a guy in a champion in a fight, but it's not a championship fight. Ric Flair used to do that with Dusty Rhodes all the time. Dusty'd even pin him 1, 2, 3, but he wanted to get the belt. I don't like that. I think it's weird. And if the BMF is just a trophy, if it's just a trophy to solidify the night that we put in the form of a belt, if that's what it is, okay, fine, just come out and tell us, but you haven't told us that. And the boys love it, and the boys want it, and the audience loves it, and the audience wants it. And I've told my audience a million times, if they want to learn about this industry, there's 3 things they got to do, and one of those 3 things is find out why the BMF belt has never been defended. But for the people in the know, the 5 of us that are having this little coded conversation, it wouldn't apply. It wouldn't apply to this match. So you could defend it. You could make some sense of it. And if we are going with Gaethje versus Islam, which takes Gaethje versus Max off the board, it was one of the stronger rumors about 300. Where are we going with 300? I understand that Izzy's going to fight for the title and Izzy's going to return there. I do understand that. But it's not enough. I mean, if I was to tell the world that Dricus du Plessis, who's only fought twice on television, is going to main event 300, if I was to tell them, you got a feud, you definitely could do it. It's a big fight. I don't take that from you. I think they'd be surprised. I think if I said that Strickland, that got rushed in on short notice and went out to Australia and did do record numbers and almost ended up in there, almost got replaced by Jared Cannonier, is going to headline 300 with this. Right. It's one of these things where we do appear to be cannibalizing potential matches for 300. And the rumors that we've had out there and speculated, including the ones that you guys like, they're getting reduced. I mean, they're getting chopped up in every which way. Aspinall Pereira looked like it had legs. I get the silliness. I fully understand that. It looked like it had legs, but with Aspinall's new full throttle approach towards Jon Jones, he doesn't have one in the bag. And things just keep getting more interesting, and you have to wonder, what information do you have that's true? We were all quick to accept that it's Conor versus Chandler, but that's never been confirmed. We were told the venue won't even confirm that the date is booked. We don't know that anything there is accurate. And quite frankly, it's very fun to speculate, right? Like, it's very fun to wonder. It's very fun to look at all these clues that I just threw out there and let you know that they're just that. As obvious as it is that du Plessis and Strickland got rushed to the market so that Izzy could return, and that has to do with 300. As obvious as that is, none of that's been confirmed. Not one word of that would hold up in court. So we really don't know a whole lot, which brings us back to what I hope my partner Ryan titles this piece. We fiercely adhere to whatever rules we make up on the spot.